Hello everyone and welcome to another game of World of Warships. Today's replay is from ghashpl and I'm terribly sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. Now he is in the Kamikaze R, a tier 5 Japanese premium destroyer. It's on the map straight in a 3-point domination game mode. It's a tier 6 battle, so could be worse. Could be better. But at least there is no carrier. Carriers can always be a problem in a destroyer. And there are quite a few destroyers around. So that should be interesting. And speaking of destroyers, the first enemy has shown up. The friendly team has 3 destroyers around here, and both teams have a little bit of backup behind. Now the Kamikaze isn't a good gunboat, but in this case he doesn't have to be. He has a lot of support here, and the enemy destroyer is forced to use his smoke and disappear. Now I'm assuming there will soon be a lot of torpedoes launched against the enemy smoke. We can already see the Gremyashny doing so, which means the enemy destroyer will most likely have to run away or risk hitting a few torpedoes. Now ghashpl is currently blocked from torpedoing the smoke because there is a friendly in front of him, and you never want a torpedo from behind a friendly ship. The friendly ship would have no idea they are coming, and this would just be a recipe for disaster. So ghashpl is wisely holding his torpedoes and waiting for a clean shot. Also the enemy destroyer is already running away. Wise enough not to sit in the smoke, but I'm not sure how far he will get. He is currently spotted and under fire. Yeah, we shall see. Now an enemy destroyer has snuck in the middle, and it looks like the friendly team has nobody there to contest him, so the enemies are getting a free capture point, but the friendly team should take point alpha here without too much trouble pretty soon. And there is... well, I don't know what's going on in the south, but both teams are moving towards the center, so there's probably a big clash around there. Now we have some juicy battleships here. It's possible that they'll just keep sailing in straight line. I mean, oh, and there are some torpedoes incoming. This could be awkward. No, it's not. He's avoiding those easily. But anyway, those enemy battleships, I mean, they have to know that there are torpedoes coming. There are way too many destroyers around for them to be not expecting that, I'd assume. But, well, I mean, considering that there are a lot of torpedoes coming, maybe they will fail to dodge some. Now it's very brave of those battleships to push aggressively, but you really don't want to push in a lot of enemy destroyers. I mean, the friendly team has lost 2 already, but it's pretty clear that there is more around here. And I think the Fuso might take some... oh, won't take more hits. Now the Bayan is trying to run away, but by doing that he is showing broadside to his smoke screen, which might be unhealthy. And there we have some more torpedo hits. Now while I applaud the bravery of those battleships in pushing into this capture point, if you are up against, well, superior forces, it might be tricky, and you really want to bring someone to help counter those destroyers. Like the Furutaka with Hydro, maybe. But anyway, this Bayan is trying to escape, but I'm afraid it's too late, and if this Fuso just keeps slowly in a straight line, the Fuso will soon go down as well. But I think those battleships might have given up by now. Now the smoke is disappearing, it seems. ghashpl was spotted for a short time, and he has now used his speed boost and is trying to retreat. And there goes the Fuso. Now he's holding his fire. He should be in concealment pretty soon, and when you are like 5.5 kilometers from it, yeah. Well, so his fire took care of the Bayan, and that's a double strike. That's nice. But as I was saying, if you are pretty close to a cruiser, like 5.5 kilometers, then you really wanna get spotted, because birds. So he wisely got out of there. The friendly team has the advantage here in the north. Doesn't look that good in the south, I assume. But the enemy team isn't that intent on capping, so... Now, ghashpl is moving towards the center. They might be able to grab the center point. It looks like there is one destroyer defending it. But a cruiser and a destroyer together should have no trouble clearing that out, I suppose. So he is launching his torpedoes and hoping for the best inside the smokescreen. Now unfortunately this cruiser is leaving again. Now obviously I don't know if this cruiser has hydro available. So it might make sense that the cruiser wants to keep distance from the smoke, and well, it's very good. Now there is no way a half health Kamikaze beats almost full health Farragut, so he will need help here. Taking the center should be a focus here, I think, since, well, last point is still unclaimed and the friendly team might wanna meet up with their teammates anyway. It would make sense to try to take the center that's just lightly defended. And if the enemies wanna stick here to the left side of the map, I mean they sure can. Now this Farragut is coming out here, and ghashpl is in an awkward situation because he is currently maneuvering his ship away from this island and he's an easy target. He has smoke ready and he's waiting as long as... and yeah, there goes the need for smoke. The enemy destroyer has popped smoke, I don't know why. But that means ghashpl doesn't have to use his own, he's no longer spotted and he can now easily escape the situation and leave a few torpedoes behind and hope to get the destroyer. Now, as I said before this, he needs help getting the center, and well, US smoke tends to eat around for a while. He can't just charge into this smoke, he hasn't much of a chance of winning that fight. I guess he could get lucky with torpedoes, but that's not a chance he should take. So he needs help. Unfortunately, the friendly forces here in the north are engaged with the ships over there, and it doesn't look like there will be much help from the south either. So currently he is launching a few torpedoes towards the smoke, and he's in a position to spot the enemy destroyer should the destroyer leave. Although it doesn't look like he will, because he has targets to shoot at. Now unfortunately the division mate is getting low on health. Together they could try to take on Farragut, but yeah, well, if both at low health, that might be tricky. So it doesn't look like the torpedoes hit something. Looks like the other friendly destroyer has the same idea, and they will just keep sending torpedoes into the smoke and wait until it disappears. Now here in the south it's two friendly battleships against, well, I think 3 enemy battleships, so I'm not having high hopes for the south, although at least the enemy still isn't trying to capture this point. It's not looking too great, but it could be a lot worse if the enemies had aggressively pushed into the sea cap and from then reinforced the center, then this game would look pretty horrible. But so far the enemies aren't doing that. So let's see if this game will be won. Now meanwhile ghashpl is still just launching his torpedoes in the smoke. He is again in an awkward position, there isn't really anything else to engage. He can't push further south with this Farragut here, he can't take on the Farragut on his own. And there isn't much other to do here in the north, so the smoke has gone, enemy destroyer is visible and they can take her on. Now unfortunately the Farragut is focusing on the Gremyachny and the Gremyachny is pretty low on hit points, so apparently destroyer is escaping behind an island, which is pretty wise, and this means the Farragut is now switched fire. Now he should be able to sink her. Oh, there are torpedoes incoming, but they are easily avoided. And that's one target dealt with, but he is at dangerously low health and his division mate, let's take a look with... oh yeah, his division mate is at even worse health. So very nicely played by him that he managed to get back into cover behind an island, one salvo away from sinking. So they are both still floating and they can both still influence the battle, which is good news because it's kinda even. ship-wise. Now the enemy still have a Kamikaze here in the north, and it's possible that the Kamikaze is hunting the Congo, but currently I think taking the center is a lot more important than chasing a destroyer who knows where. But there are torpedoes coming from this direction, so it's possible that the Kamikaze is trying to sneak towards the south. The Kamikaze basically has two options. He can either try to reunite with his team down there, or he can just take capture points behind the friendly team. I think if I were the Kamikaze, I would probably try to get point alpha. The Kamikaze shouldn't be too far away from this. Yeah, okay, we don't know how far he'd gone, but would have an opportunity right now. Now, meanwhile in the south, the enemy team still doesn't have Point Charlie, and I think the enemy battleships might just finally go there because there is nothing else for them to do. Friendly team is taking the center unmolested. Now, the good thing is, I suppose the enemy Kamikaze isn't aware how low health the friendly destroyers are, because right now the Kamikaze could win a gunfight against both of them probably. Well, I mean, we don't know how low the Kamikaze is, so I guess there is a chance that he is in in the same position. Now, meanwhile, a lot of juicy battleships here in the south who are surprisingly high health. Guess they shouldn't have spent all of the match down here zone wall and should have been a little bit more aggressive. Maybe they could have kept some of their escorts alive. And as I said, if they had pushed earlier towards the center, this game would look a lot different. But let's see if they are able to dodge some torpedoes, or if the friendly destroyers here can hunt them down. Now the enemy team has a points advantage, but they currently don't control a capture point. I mean, pretty soon they will have Charlie. But if those battleships don't start pushing somewhere, they will suffer in the long run. And I mean, hunting down destroyers can be tough. So I guess it comes once again down to the enemy destroyer. The enemy destroyer has two choices. He can either try to spot friendly destroyers here, or he can go for capture points. Not sure which is the winning move. I guess in his position I would just take capture points, but if he can spot those destroyers, then the battleships can help take them down. And that might be a winning move. But then again, the Kamikaze R has great camo, so there is no way the enemy destroyer is sneaking up on them. Anyway, let's see what those torpedoes can accomplish. And there are, well, only one hit. But I mean, it's something. There is a flooding, the enemy is probably forced into damage control, and maybe they can flood him again or set him on fire before the damage control is ready again. Now the friendly cruiser here is on dangerously low health, and against those battleships I'm afraid the friendly cruiser will go down soon. Friendly battleship is on low health, so ghashpl is providing a smoke screen for the friendly battleship sitting. Which means the friendly battleship has now a great position to fire on. The destroyers can keep those battleships spotted. And this should even the odds here a little bit health-wise. Or, well, you know, the friendly battleship could also just keep going at full speed, sail through the smoke screen, and sit their broadside on towards the enemy. Yes, that's an option as well. Now, to be fair, I'm not sure, maybe the Congo didn't realize it in time, and it takes a while to slow down a battleship, so he wasn't expecting it. If he wasn't paying that much attention, maybe it was a mistake that he glided out of it. Also possible that he isn't aware that sitting in a smoke screen is a good thing. Whatever happened, it was unfortunate, because now one friendly battleship is gone and the enemies have a numerical advantage. Now the enemy destroyer was, I think, just spotted up there for a short while, so I'm not sure what the enemy destroyer did the last 5 minutes. Because he could have easily taken a capture point in this time. If the Kamikaze is trying to torpedo Aoba, who is sailing away from him, he will be in... well, he won't be very useful. Now, meanwhile, friendly destroyers are trying to take down those battleships, and, well, hopefully he can whittle them down. Now on the bright side, the friendly team has the majority of the capture points, and unlike this Kamikaze realizes that he can capture, it will remain that way. Which means time is on the friendly team's side, and there isn't an awful lot of time left. And looks like a Bayern is just sitting there sailing backwards. That's not a great strategy against two destroyers with torpedoes. Actually, that's a horrible strategy, and so that Bayern is gone. So the enemy König is gone as well. Nicely done. Only a Texas and the Kamikaze remaining. And while the friendly ships are, once more, they are at dangerously low health, but they have to get spotted first. And this means the Kamikaze would have to aggressively push in here. Considering that the Kamikaze has done pretty much nothing for the last maybe 10 minutes, I'm assuming that it's not such a big threat, but I don't know. The Kamikaze was really uninterested in taking the capture point so far, which means he might just be looking for the destroyers now because there is nothing else for him to do. Now the Texas is finally pushing here towards the cap point because he probably realized he is losing this battle anyway. And since there are only destroyers left, Texas is not finding anything to shoot at, so he is going for the capture point. Which is, yeah, the only thing he can do. Now ghashpl is lying down a smoke screen here, probably not for himself, but for his division mate. His division mate has better guns, and, well, it's quite possible that his division mate is out of smoke. So one of the ships has to be a spotter. And it makes sense that the Kamikaze is the spotter and the Gremyachny is the one doing the damage. So great teamwork from those two. And let's hope they can set a few fires. Ideally, the Gremyachny could set a fire and the Texas gets rid of it before a torpedo hits and sets a flooding. That would be ideal, but shall see if they are lucky enough. Now, the only option the Texas has is pretty much just going straight for the smoke screen. Another thing to note is that ghashpl here is in a pretty nice angle for his torpedoes towards the Texas. The Texas is facing the smoke screen, the Texas is going towards the smoke screen because that's, well, doesn't really have anything else to do. Which means he might not be expecting torpedoes from the side, and even if he is, they will be hard to avoid. He gets torpedoed in his flank, there isn't an awful lot the Texas can do about it. And ghashpl is not using his guns, getting spotted would be horrible at this point. And they got some nice torpedo hits there. So hopefully they can finish the Texas off. Texas is still flooding, I think. So hopefully they can finish her off before she gets into the smoke and managed to detect the Gremyachny, but the smoke, I think, disappeared, or the Gremyachny had to run away. So, yeah, one down, but so is the Texas. And the Kraken's unleashed. Now the friendly destroyer finally managed to reach a capture point, but it's far too little, far too late. There are like 30 seconds left of this game and there is nothing the enemy can do about it. This is going to be a win by points. And ghashpl, knowing this full well, will just sail away at full speed, making it impossible for the enemy destroyer to catch him, spot him, or do anything about it. So, yeah. Okay, I don't know why he fired there, but this is a win regardless. Let's take a look at the results. ghashpl managed to get 2,523 base experience. It was certainly well played by him, but his division mate helped out also quite a bit and they worked well together. Now the enemies weren't all that interested in capture point it seems, and the enemy Kamikaze, despite finishing very high in the scoreboard, could have, I think, won this game if he had just gone for capture points a lot sooner. But you know, I don't expect that much experience from a tier 5 captain. It's possible that he tried his best just to sink ships and wasn't really experienced enough to realize that taking the capture points early on would have just won him the game. So ghashpl earned himself double strike, Confederate Kraken, devastating strike and high caliber. He scored almost 183,000 points of damage. And yeah, this was a nice match. Obviously some battleships helped by just sailing in straight lines. But he played this rather well. He fought for the objectives, and as it turns out, that's a winning move. So I hope you enjoyed watching that, and I'll see you guys next time.